I would like to get this into this. Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Guys, this machine right here was special. It really was. As I told you before, this is the machine where I played it so much where I considered myself a gamer, you know. My friends at that point, some of them had the 2600, some of them were playing arcade games still. They just go to the arcade, nothing else. But me, I would stay home. I would stay home and play my Colecovision for hours and hours. I wouldn't do anything else. My friends were out there, you know, smoking weed, doing all kinds of stuff. Not me. I'd rather be playing my Donkey Kong, which was the pack-in game, you know, for the Colecovision. And then some other games. I had the Saxon story where I told you where had somebody cut off my neighbor's a weed tree and gave me a Saxon cart. Anyway, guys, if I find the video, I'll link it down below. It's an old story, because this right here is a video about this special machine that should be included with the Atari brand. Let me tell you, forever, and I mean forever, I have been saying that Atari should buy the Colecovision brand. Man, they would have all three, Atari, Intellivision, and Colecovision. That was the era right there. And the superior machine, by far, was the Colecovision. Now, you might think, hey, there is no ties here. There's no ties between Colecovision and Atari. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. If you're older like me, you'll remember. But if you're younger, then you're saying, well, what does this have to do with Atari? Let me tell you, some of the best games for Atari were published for the Colecovision via Atari Soft. And I'm going to give you a few examples. You know, I'm going to put up the emulator, because I can't hook this up right now. It's so heavy. I have too many things hooked up. But we'll go over some games, you know, that I think are hidden gems. Some games that just plainly look better. To this day, I think, you know, Galaxian still plays better on the Colecovision than it did on the arcade. I like it better. I think it's just a smoother game. Regardless, guys, I want to show you some of the hidden gems, some of the games that I think would be perfect to be in the Atari environment and the Atari ecosystem now, and that would just make the company stronger. And let me tell you, in the long run, if they did this, we would have so many products coming down the line that a lot of my dreams would come true, right? And all we can do is hope. This is just an open prayer to Atari. Please buy Intellivision, because it would make so much sense. Now, let's look at some games. All right, people, so what I'm here to do is try to convince Atari, more importantly, of why they should buy the Coleco brand, right? And it starts with Saxon. Let me tell you, Saxon is a very cool game. We all know what it is, but the best version of this game at home was on the Colecovision. It really was. And man, what fun you could have with this game. You really, let me tell you, and the way that I got this game, you can look at my previous video on how I got the Saxon. But basically, some kid from school gave it to me in order to go in the backyard and rip off my neighbor of some plants that were not legal to grow. Let's just say that, right? Let's keep it clean. But yeah, guys, it was amazing to have this. Let me tell you, the Colecovision is the first time where I differentiated myself from my friends, where I thought of myself, yes, my hobby is gaming, right? My hobby is playing video games. My friends at the time, they were out, you know, smoking pot. They were doing other things. They were in bikes and stuff like that. And I had bikes and all that stuff. But once I got the Colecovision, it's like everything else stopped, right? I started with Donkey Kong, and I just went down the line from there. You know, I really did. I was really having an amazing time. But what I want to do with you guys is just go over some of the games that just make sense, make absolute sense to have on the Gamestation Go. Aqua Attack, great game, underrated in my point of view, right? But this is a pick up and go. You would have fun. It fits right in there with the rest of the lineup that they have, right? And I'm not saying that for them to add it for free. Of course, you could sideload these, right? But for me, I prefer to have official releases of stuff. I don't have the time to be, doing all this emulation and, setting up emulators. No, I just want to pick it up and go. I got, 6 kids. I got 6 grandkids. I don't have time. I have a job. I have a toddler. I don't have time for all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it would be amazing to have something that's officially licensed and just have it there. So this is my campaign, guys, the campaign that I've been waging now for a long time for Atari to acquire the rights to the Colecovision. And, I've seen the company that holds them. It's not a company that has a huge market cap, especially because it's a subdivision, right? It's Dormitas, I believe it's pronounced, Games. They hold the brand now. But, they purchase stuff that is a lot more expensive than that, let me tell you. And this would make a lot of sense. It really would. So let me go through a few games here that I think are outstanding. You guys might think that Atari Duel, for example, for its time, it was the worms of its time, I believe, right? If I can go back in the day. But look at some of these, just some of the titles. BC's Quest for Tires, Grog's Revenge. This game right here, I think is underrated. Beam Rider, right? Think Tempest and Space Invaders combined, right? Something like that. There's awesome fun to be had here. Boulder Dash, one of the better versions at the time, right? There's a couple of computer versions that did it a little bit better, but it was a decent port. Buck Rogers, of course, but we're talking about licensing. We're not really looking at that realistically. Bump and Jump, it's a good release. It was a better release at the time, better than all of them. And Burger Time, to me, was the best version of Burger Time that was ever put out there, by far. It's not even close. This was the closest to the arcade we got, and it was a fun time to be had by all, let me tell you. Great game. Oh, here's nostalgia. These are the kind of licenses that this machine had, and that's why it's so beloved. Cabbage Patch Kids, right? Carnival, best version of Carnival, again. Is it the most amazing game ever? No, but it fits right there in the lineup, and it takes you back, at least for those of us, with the nostalgia feels, right? But let me tell you something, the best version of Centipede was on here. And what people forget, what the connection is to Atari, is that Atari Soft put the best versions of their game on the ColecoVision. Not the adapter that they had, right? You could play Atari games, but they put out Centipede, and I'll show you another one pretty soon. Children of the Night, people don't talk enough about, right? But for its time, it was pre-Game Boy times, and this is pretty much the model that a lot of other games had. Choplifter would make a lot of sense. Look at this, Chuck Norris. Oh my gosh! Those are the kind of licenses, again, that this machine had that people just loved. You could play stuff from TV, brand from TV, from the movies, and get it on your home console. Congo Bongo. Kids really like this game, and I think it's just the name, guys. Believe it or not, they watch me play this game. Not even the arcade version. This one here, for whatever reason, maybe it's the color palette. I don't know. Defender, another Atari release, and guys, this is the more player-friendly version. People love playing this version of Defender. The one in the arcades was really hard because they wanted your quarters, of course. But this was just a better version in my point of view, right? As far as gameplay of the game. And, it wasn't only mine. A lot of people thought the same. Of course, the packing game was Donkey Kong. But again, we're not going to deal with, licensed games because, that's going to be too hard. But Dragonfire, I'm too old for this kind of mechanic, to tell you the truth. The arthritis is getting to me now. So, but, for those of you who have faster reflexes, you go have fun with that. Let me go through some of them here. Frenzy, the best version of Frenzy at the time was on the ColecoVision. Frogger, best version, again, beloved by people. Beloved by people. You know, this is one of the games people would ask me to play the most. Galaxian. Dare I say that this version of Galaxian was more fun to play than the arcade. And I do dare to say it. In my point of view. Now this guy's right here, let me tell you. This is a game that is not talked about enough, right? The gateway to Apshai. I think that's how you pronounce it. With my accent, that's what I can do. Regardless, guys, this is the grandfather of Diablo in most people's opinions. This is the inspiration right here. One of the things that I love to do, especially with the kids, is show them, hey, you know, these are the concepts that we started off with back in the day. You know, and those are developed into some of the games that you love today. The Immortal Gorf. Oh my gosh. You know, having this at home is just awesome. You know, it was missing the Galaxian stage, but I think that's the one that was missing. But he had Galaxian already on the system, so it's okay. We can forgive him. Gyrus. Gyrus, baby. Come on. The classic of the arcade. Let me tell you, this is the best version of the game outside of the arcade, and it was fun. Let's see, what else do we have here? 007 with his underwater car. Then you can jump into the ground. It crashed right there on the demo, but it was a great game. Another game that I believe is underrated, guys, not talked about enough, is Jumpman Jr. I think this game was fun, you know, if you haven't played it. And again, it would fit right in the palette. We're barely in J. This would fit right in the palette of what Atari's putting out right now, in this console. Jungle Hunt, the best version. Oh my gosh, why don't they redo this game again? Jungle Hunt, the best version at home, was on the ColecoVision. I love this game. I loved it on the arcade. Loved it on the ColecoVision. It's a cool game. It's a really, really cool game. Keystone Capers, you know, a fun game, underrated game. Some people don't like it, but I think it's fun. Ladybug, you know, it's not a Pac-Man clone like most people think. It has a different kind of mechanic on it. But if you like those kind of games, hey, you know, you're going to have fun with that one. Let's see what else we got here. Let me try Looping. Yeah, it's Looping. It's a fun game. MASH. Oh my gosh. Memory Lane, right? Just the name. For those of us who knew, we knew that when the MASH song came on, it was time to go to sleep. Only 80s kids will remember that. Meteoric Shower. Guys, this game is underrated. Dare I say, call it a hidden gem. It was fun. It was a fun game that nobody talks about, right? Miner 49er was on here. Montezuma's Revenge. Moonsweeper. Another one. You know, fun games that were on here. Mountain King. Some people like it, some people didn't. Mousetrap, of course. Mr. Do. Hello. Oh man, Mr. Do. This is the best version outside the arcade, of course. And it doesn't look amazing, guys, but this is, trust me, the gameplay is there. It really is. You had the Space Furies, Nova Blast, Omega Race, if you like asteroids. This is a fun one. Pepper 2, kind of a puzzler. It was fun. You know, it's a fun game. There was Pitfall 2 on there. There was the original Pitfall with a little bit more detail. Pit Stop was a fun game. Now that you have the spinner, a great game to include, in my opinion, right? Of course, you had the Popeye in there, but again, you know, licensed game. Cubert was really fun on here. River Raid. River Raid you could play for days. This version is way better than the Atari version. Robin Hood, to me, an underrated game, right? And some people didn't like it, but I like the mechanics. I like shooting the bad guys and then moving on to the next. Let's see, what else? Oh man, Rocky. Again, another, movie icon, right? And it was the best version of boxing, the more realistic version of boxing out there for the time. Oh man, let's see, what else do we have here that I can show you? The Smurfs, another icon, right, of the 80s. Let's see here. Space Invasion, it's just Space Invaders.
Spy Hunter, guys. Oh man, this game in the arcade, and let me tell you, this was the best version at home that you could get of the game, hands down. Just all kinds of fun, brings so many memories. Again, fits right in line with what Atari's doing now. They had a version of Star Trek, right? It was, semi-decent. But you also had Star Wars, the arcade game. And a lot of people, if you're a younger gamer, you're going to look at these graphics and go, oh my gosh, well, that's not, amazing. For the time it was. For the time, having this at home was mind-blowing. We couldn't get this kind of stuff. You're not going to see this on the 2600, not like this. No way. It was an amazing, amazing game. The perspective on baseball here was great. This is a great perspective for its time. You have to remember, we're talking about 1983, 1982 back then. Action football was fun. Super Cobra, baby. Tank Wars. Tank Wars was really, really fun. Underrated game again. Some people don't like it. I do. Probably because I'm a fan of combat. But, there was more on here. Decathlon. The Dukes of Hazzard. Just some good old boys. Yes. Yes, Dukes of Hazzard. Guys, do I need to say more than Time Pilot? Do I really? I should just stop here. I could just end it here with Time Pilot. The best version of Time Pilot outside the arcade was on here. Oh my gosh. And this is a game that's underrated, guys, ahead of its time. If this game was longer, I think it would be talked about a lot more. Two Tank Ham. Just a great game, fun game, and it's too short. But if you haven't played it, go and play it. Up and Down, it's a great game. It fit right in. Again, you have the spinner controller to use as a wheel. It would fit right in there with the rest of the lineup. There's War Room, but better yet, there's War Games. 1980s icon, War Games. What a great fit. Could they get the license? I don't know, right? But you could do something similar, call it something else, you know what I'm saying? But this game, it's from the time, right? It really takes you back. And back then, just saying that you were going to go buy the War Games game, people would just come over like, yeah, War Games? Yeah, I got War Games. It was pretty awesome. And again, Saxon, and guys, I hope I made my case. You can see how great these games were for the time. For those of you who were around, I'm taking just down memory lane. For those of you who weren't around at the time, this really was the PlayStation 5 of its day. It was the best machine out there, by far the funnest machine out there. The closest you could get to the arcade was the Colecovision. Let me tell you that this machine is special. People always ask me, what's your favorite system? And I have to really cut it up by time. It's been my favorite. All these consoles that I own were my favorite at the time that I bought them. That's why I bought them, right? But this is one that just really takes me back to, just being a kid, having fun, falling in love with video games, seeing video games go to the next level, because back then we thought, it's never going to get better than this, because we thought better graphics were unobtainable. But when we saw the ColecoVision, man, let me tell you, a lot of jaws were just dropping, because this system for its day was the best system out there. I hope I made my case, not to you out there, but to Atari. Please purchase this license.
Well, guys, those are just some of the games that I thought would be great on this machine. I think that would make sense. At least the Atari Soft stuff should be a no-brainer to put on here. Whether they sold it as, extra, content, SD card, whatever it is, whether it's in television or ColecoVision, I would definitely buy it. I know there's other ways to get it. I have emulators and all that stuff where I back up all my games. But it's not the same. It's not like having something official, and to me, I'd rather play on hardware. If not the original hardware, some rebranded hardware, some new hardware from the companies. And I think that would be a great idea. And some of that hardware that I wish that would make are going to be the subject on my next video. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Join if you can. And I will catch you on the next one. Take care.